Okay, so we're playing part 2 of the one-on-one Coriolis campaign that I'm playing with Crystal here, with her character Hamda. Last session, the operative Hamda, your character's name is Hamda, right? Sorry, that is your character's name, right, Hamda?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
yes.
well, that's how a good way to start, not know the character's name. All right, good, I had that right. All right, we'll forget that I screwed that up. Anyways, yeah, she was hired by kind of discreetly by a judicator to basically retrieve a package that was being sent up to intercept it. The package has gone missing, and the messenger was killed, seemingly by some kind of faction weaponry, something very high tech, which is not something that typically happens. So there's been a little research through some infiltration. You've discovered, along with a lot of weird drawings and stuff, that the researcher, archaeologist, should say, that's on the planet Kua, seems to be into some weird stuff. There was lots of kind of bizarre drawings and other art, kind of strange stuff that's going on. So you've been asked to head down to the planet side to go to this dig site and see what the hell's going on, because clearly one of the factions wants what this archaeologist is supposedly found, and it could mean trouble on this Coriolis space station if one of these kind of illegal factions gets their hands on a very powerful artifact. So of course, there's lots of corruption in the system, so you're kind of going undercover, in a sense. And as we start, you're heading to the planet side. You're in a shuttle. Shuttles head off the Coriolis space station, multiple times per day down to the planet, which is primarily a jungle planet. Most of the shuttles head towards the larger kind of areas near the monolith, where there's kind of cities and that kind of stuff. You guys had to wait for the one that's kind of going to one of the outer kind of areas where we'll call it the borderlands, kind of where there's a lot of more research going on. There's not, we'll say the civilized people don't really live there. There's small towns that spring up with kind of mercenaries and such that are hired by people going out into the jungle areas to do research. And that seems to be as close as you can get to where you're going, is to be dropped off into this this small village. It's called Chanda, and Fadma, who is the judicator, is going with you. She is, even though you're somewhat, kind of not, this isn't above the boards fully, like, it's not like the Coriolis is officially sending you down there. She still is pretty well armed, and she's got a light body armor under her clothes, not the full setup that you normally would have on station, but she's carrying like kind of a duffel with to be some kind of large arms in it, as you guys kind of get onto the shuttle and you're heading down. So we'll drop you off in planet side. You can introduce your character. Let me know what you want to do. Basically, this village is, you're coming from the space station, which is, although there's definitely dumpy parts of it, is high tech. Everywhere you go, there's cameras and there's computers everywhere, and you can have access to anything you need. It's air conditioned, blah blah. Clearly, otherwise you'd be dead because it's in space. This is basically a dirt and mud street town with buildings that are they're not like made out of thatch or anything. They're like prefab buildings that were set up down there, but they're just like dropped onto concrete slabs, down here in this kind of edge of the jungle area. There's probably maybe a dozen or so buildings here. You see a handful of small vehicles that might be used to go through the jungle, like big like off-road type vehicles with large tires. And you see some kind of mounts like horses and things like that people might use to get around. It's very, very primitive tech looking. Almost, if you can imagine, a jungle mixed with Western cowboy type vibe, mixed with space. So yeah, you get dropped off here, and let me know, do a little character intro, and let me know what you want to do.
All right. Yeah, Hamda is Currently, kind of like spraying bug spray on herself, as like down here on the planet, there's a lot more bugs, and she's kind of lamenting the fact that you know she has to be down on a planet, you know, up in space. Only bugs you kind of have to deal with are like roaches, and even they keep those kind of like under control pretty well, as best they can. I mean the roaches. So, but down here, bugs are free to be bugs, and so yeah, she's kind of not used to that. But either way, she's putting up with it. She's checking over her gear, just making sure she has everything in working order, and is ready to to track down this artifact and everything. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Fatma, she tells you, she says, based on the maps that you were able to retrieve, it's probably about if we can get some kind of a ride of maybe a day and a half journey out into to the dig site. Once we get there, we should be able to stay with hopefully the doctor and see what's going on out there. This area can be a bit dangerous though, so we might want to get some kind of a guide. And she kind of like looks around, and you can see that she's kind of trying to figure out, get a base of where she is. And she says, yeah, over there, that must be with the local cantina. And she starts kind of walking through the mud street towards the what you can see is kind of looks like one of these prefab buildings, but the front of it's been like cut off very crudely and opened up. And then a kind of a thatch roof has been added to it, and there's some tables outside. You can see people drinking, and you can actually hear, as you start to walk closer to it, you can start to hear a bit of music coming from it. Even though it's like midday, the place is pretty crowded as you approach. This is definitely, as you're kind of looking around, you see all types of people here. I mean, we don't see that many what you would consider rich people, but you can see that there's definitely people from all walks of life that maybe have come to seek their fortune down here, and also some of the you see some of what they call in Coriolis semi-intelligences. So there's a handful of kind of sentient beings that are used for labor and stuff that aren't really considered they're not humans, such as the Ikilbri, which are kind of like rodent type people. They're probably like about half as high as you are. They're used a lot for unfortunately slave labor, though down on the planet side many times they're free, and they work as mercenaries. And you can see that there's there you see these mixed in with humans, like drinking at tables, which is, it's pretty unusual actually to see such things. You definitely wouldn't sit up on the space station. As you kind of enter this cantina, nobody really pays you any mind. It's pretty crowded. So she says to you, well, why don't we see who we can meet? Let's do I'll go this way and you go that way. We'll do a loop, and we'll see if we can find anybody that looks interesting. Maybe we can offer them some beer to join our party, so to speak. And she kind of goes off to the one direction. She's heading towards a table with some people sitting.
All right. So she's going off towards the table area. Hamda will make her way over more to the bar, knowing that the barkeep tends to be able to see the people who come and go, and would probably be one of the people to talk to get decent information out of.
Cool. Yeah. So you approach the bar. The bartender is kind of an older woman. She looks like maybe she's like in her late 40s. One side of her head is kind of shaved. You notice as you kind of come closer, but then you can see that actually it's probably like that because the hair won't really grow. It's like you can see that there's like heavy burn marks where it's been scarred. She's quite tall, and she's wearing kind of an odd match of clothing. She's got kind of like 3 different generations worth of styles on, almost like she's just wearing whatever there's probably not access to a lot of different things down here. And she seems to be tending the bar and keeping control of the people that are there. she sees you approach and kind of looks at a couple people in the that are kind of crowded around the front, and they kind of spread out a little bit and give you a spot to move up. And she says to you, new in town.
Hamda is gonna pull her hood down and she's gonna put on a friendly smile, and she's going to reply, "Yes, but not here for very long. I'm actually supposed to be heading out soon towards one of those archaeology sites and doing some work out that way."
Oh yeah, I've heard that story before. She doesn't really ask you what you want to drink. She just kind of like pours the thing that she's serving, which is kind of out of these casks, and she puts it up on the bar in front of you. You know, you can see it's some kind of ale or something. It's bubbly and light. She says, "So you're looking to hire or be hired?"
Well, I've been thinking I might need a guide to get me out to this location. You know, being planet side, it's kind of got me disoriented a little bit.
You'll find plenty of that around here. Just be weary of the people that'll do it too cheap, if you know what I mean. And then she gets distracted for a second and starts to search somebody else, and comes back. You know.
You have any suggestions on any decent guides around here?
Well, if Hayan is around and not too drunk, he's probably a good person to help you out. I was a captain of a ship for a while until darkness between the stars got to his crew. I don't like to talk about that very much, but well, unless he's drinking, and then you really don't want to be talking to him.
Yeah, understood. Where would I normally be able to find this Hayan at?
She kind of like gets up a little bit to kind of look. She's tall, but she can kind of like, she gets up to look around. She's, yeah, he's usually at that corner over there, but I don't see him there right now. Looks like there's some of the gutter rats are there, and you see some of these Kilbury, rat people kind of at that table. And she says, "Oh yeah, if you hang out long enough, you'll know, because he's going to take his table when he gets here. That's for sure."
Okay. And I assume that he's discreet?
Oh, he's not drinking.
Well, thanks for the tip, she says. And how much is her drink?
It's 2 beer.
Okay. She'll go ahead and leave an extra 2 beer.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
I'll say 3 beer to make it even.
Okay, yeah, sure. She says, "Thank you much," and then you see her start to help, somebody else. She seems to know. I mean, if you spend a few minutes there drinking your drink, most people that come up, she's calling them by name. She seems to know, like, most of the people around here, and occasionally you'll hear her, if you hang out there long enough, you kind of have a similar conversation with others where she's like, "Oh, new in town," so it seems like she has her ear to the ground about anybody coming and going around here. So I had to get my dice.
That's fine. I'm just going to use my electronic thing again. I've been using that recently.
Well, it's good for this game, especially with all the 6-sided dice. But I have the official Coriolis dice, which I always forget.
I just don't have a lot of room to roll dice either, so.
Okay, so I don't know if I'll need them or not, but if we're gonna get them before we do.
Yeah. Well, no, you probably won't need them. You can just say that I, succeed on everything. That's fine.
Well, I mean, most of the time you're rolling. The only time I'm going to roll dice is if somebody attacks you. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Do you want to hang out there for a little bit, or do you want to look around for other people, or what would you?
I mean, she's gonna kind of hang out a little bit at the bar, kind of drink, sip her drink. She'll sort of, but I mean, like, I'll say what she'd kind of want to like move maybe towards like the corner, somewhere where she can eye the crowd.
Okay.
And see if maybe if I use observe or something, see if she can see anyone that looks like a burly guidey type.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, you definitely see mostly groups of people come in as you're there for a little bit. So yeah, you see some people that look like they might be, know the area, but they're mostly seem to be with people. So a group. Um, it does appear that most people, as you're kind of looking, probably paying more attention as people are coming in, you're noticing now more so than maybe when certainly more than Coriolis, that pretty much everybody that you're seeing here is armed, and they're armed like with large weapons. So like a lot of people have like rifles like thrown over their back. Like it's not in Coriolis station you just might see somebody with like a knife on their belt or the occasional cricket or something. But most people, people carry concealed weapons, but you can see that people are kind of brazenly wearing larger type weapons in the open here, for the most part. Even children, like you're seeing some relatively young, I mean, not like kids, but teenage looking people, and they all seem to be armed.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So after a little bit, Fatma, circles back around and connects with you, and she says, met this one woman, Mava. Seems interesting, but I'm not sure I can trust her. Never trust anybody with a broken nose.
Hmm.
How about you?
I have leads on possibly one old man, but sounds like he carries a lot of baggage.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get away from that down here. That's for sure. You don't come to this place unless you've got something to lose
Hmm.
or nothing to lose.
Well, is your person around? Because mine hasn't seemed to show up yet.
She just kind of like tilts her head and points, and you see that there's kind of a youngish. You'd say maybe like if 20, and that's as old as she is. Woman. She's dressed in actually what look to be like really nice clothes, but they've not been like cleaned properly in a long time. She even goes so far as to have like she's got like a beautiful ring like in her nose, and she's wearing earrings, and she's got like dangly bracelet and stuff. And you can see she's flirting with a bunch of men. And yeah, she kind of turned towards you. You can see that she's actually is probably fairly attractive, except for the fact that her nose is completely like smushed to the side and it's all purple and blue. Like looks like somebody broke her nose pretty recently. But she's trying to work around it a little bit with her best as she can, smiling at these young men.
Yeah, she's definitely recognizable, but I don't guess that should be too bad of an issue. Um, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can like kind of lift my hand a bit and see if I can get the bartender's attention. Like I'm not gonna try and make it super obvious, but just sort of lifting my hand towards the bartender, like sort of acting like I need a refill on my drink, which maybe by this time I might.
Yeah, she definitely knows. I mean, she's very attentive. So you raise her hand, and she looks, puts her chin up to confirm that's what you want.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And like when she approaches, I'll kind of ask. How'd that lady get uh, what's the story of the woman with the you know, um, picture frame nose?
She smiles and she says, "Well, when a woman finds a man down here, she don't like it when another woman thinks she can take him."
Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. Is she? What does she do?
Oh, wow, talk about that kind of stuff. Go
Is
ahead.
she any? Is she any good at what she does?
What's that?
Or is she any good at what she does?
Uh, she'd be dead if she wasn't. I think anybody down here you're going to encounter is either good or dead.
Fair enough.
And she goes back to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's working with these guys, and you hear as you're kind of contemplating what you want to do there, I guess. You hear a bit of a ruckus, and you kind of now turn, and you didn't see him come in. Apparently, maybe he came in from the back. But you see this kind of a grisly looking older guy standing by that table with the rat people with the Kilbury, and he seems to be yelling profanities at them, and they are scattering across the floor, as rats do. And after a few seconds, when they're gone, he then sits down at the table, and he just kind of like he's looking kind of just straight out, but almost like not at anything, and he just kind of puts up his hand, and you see the bartender start to fill up like a large like a pitcher of the alcohol to bring to him.
Well, I'm guessing that's my man that just came in.
Edmund nods.
Wow.
Because I guess we didn't discuss this. She says, well, we can offer 500 beer to whoever's going to bring us out, but it'd be nice to get some kind of transport and whoever's going to guide us and hopefully some help for that. So if you're going to talk to him.
All right. Well, since you don't trust those with broken noses, and with that, Hamda will get up and begin to make her way over towards the old man.
Yeah, you work your way over. He's kind of sitting in this corner table, where the way he sat, his back is kind of at the wall, so he can definitely see out, like I said. But he doesn't seem to even notice you. He's just kind of like looking at his hands, basically down. And then when you get there, you beat the bartender. You get there before she does. So he kind of looks up almost as if he thinks you're going to be the bartender, and he kind of just like makes a funny face. And he says, "You're new here."
That's what I keep getting told. What's that?
You seem empty-handed.
Well, not all of us like to be obvious about what we have.
You can see he kind of like rubs his head like he's got a headache.
Oh, actually, I don't know. Would you have allowed me to could I take his drink over to him?
Yeah, if you want to roll back and get his drink, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll say I brought him his drink, so I'll actually push it forward to him.
Okay, yeah, it's like a pitcher. A pitcher. Well, she was walking over with a pitcher and a mug, so she usually gives him a whole pitcher of the booze in the mug.
Yeah.
So yeah, you give that to him, and he.
So I'll take a seat as I put the pitcher down, and I flip the mug off the tray and put it in front of him, and I start to pour from the mug, and I'll say, I've heard that you know this area pretty well.
Well, this is my table. And you take the mug, starts drinking.
Yeah. I meant more like the jungles and such.
Oh, yeah. There's not much to know. Lots of trees, lots of animals, lots of rain.
Sounds fairly simple. Of course, I wouldn't expect it from anyone, as I wouldn't expect any less from someone as experienced looking as yourself.
So that's one way to say it.
Well, I have a friend of mine. We're trying to find our way out towards the archaeology sites.
Let's see. And he finishes the drink that he had, and he grabs the pitcher and starts pouring himself another one. And he says, I suppose he says, which site? Where? You know this information if you want to get it.
Yeah, she'll tell him, but she wants to be like, I mean, she'll kind of tell him the location that she, or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, she's going to be vague on the details, of course.
yeah. You can give them like coordinates. It's usually
Yeah.
or something like to the northeast. 7 miles or whatever. You can do it like that.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, he says, "Oh yeah, there's been a dig going on out there for a while now, a couple of months, anyways. Lots of turnover. Lots of turnover. Your friend?
Looking. Yeah. Another female compatriot. Both of us just looking for some work out that way. We've heard about the turnover and figure, those saps must just be some, lazy boys that can't handle real work.
He laughs. Says, "Well, I don't know anything about that, but I know that I've let out no less than 24 men in the last 2 months. And only 3 have come back. 2 of which, yeah, they weren't saying much."
I see. Must be some really. There must be some. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It must be really like bone grinding then.
Yeah. He says, "Well, the way I see it is some things are best left buried." And then
Here.
he drinks down another drink quickly.
I couldn't agree more, but got to make those credits somehow. That's what they say, anyway.
Yeah, he nods. He says, "Well, just you going out there? You said you had a friend."
Yes, me and one other person. Are we willing to pay? We'll pay. We'll pay 200 now and 300 upon arrival.
Oh. It's a lot of money.
Well, keep in mind that the 300 is for your discretion.
He nods. He says,
I mean, we don't want everyone knowing that a couple of archaeologists are headed down to this site and all. Other archaeologists trying to steal our work and whatnot. Can't put up with that.
"Oh, I see. Sure. Fair enough. Okay." Kind of looks. He looks like he's looking at the sky, but you're inside and he can't see the sky at all. And he says, "Well, it's too late in the day now to go. We'll leave first thing in the morning." He starts drinking again.
She'll nod, and I guess she'll walk away.
Okay. Yeah. He slides the pitcher close to him, and he can drink, kind of just looking straight ahead.
And so she'll walk back over to the officer that she came with and tell her basically what happened.
Okay. She says, "All right. I guess we got to find a place to sleep tonight. Unless you want to stay up drinking." And she kind of looks around.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to be alert, especially with him saying that there's so much turnover.
Yeah. That seems a little strange, right? And again, who knows the people down here?
Yeah, it could just be the strange planet air. We just need to live on a station like civilized people.
And she smiles. So yeah, you can eat here too, which eventually they offer up food. You know, it's kind of one of these deals where they make a bunch of food and then it's just served. So
Yeah.
there's no like menu. It's kind of like they do at the pig roast or whatever. And that happens. You know, you're able to eat. There are places to stay. You know, there's kind of some of these prefabs that are kind of just broken up into rooms that you can like get cheap. They're literally just like a cot and you know a wall around you so that you.
I'd imagine kind of like, in China, they have like those bed tubes or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, stuff like something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit bigger. Basically, that like not quite that sophisticated, but yes, exactly. Like they're like not anything fancy at all. It's literally like you walk in, it's like a closet,
Yeah.
which is like a cot there. You know, no lights or anything in it or anything, but you know, you've got your gear or whatever, and you know, you guys knew you were going to be trekking, so you probably have sleeping bags or whatever you have. And you're able to, if you don't plan on doing anything else, you can certainly crash for the night there. This is something else you want.
Wow.
Oh, pleasure.
Sorry. Smoking a cigar and I accidentally inhaled. Inhaled smoke, which you're not supposed to do in a cigar. Well, no, she'll stay out a little while. Like she'll drink a little bit. Like she's not gonna try and get drunk or anything like that. Just enough to get a little bit of maybe a little slight buzz going.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll eat a good meal. Making sure it's well cooked and everything. And more or less like once the sun kind of settles and stuff, and lights are coming on and everything, she'll head to her room. She'll clean her guns one more time, make sure her Durablade is sharp and everything. And then she'll head to bed for that evening.
Yeah, I mean, Fatma stays with you, and what you see is that as time progresses, it definitely starts getting wilder and wilder. People seem to not have much shit to do here except drink. So the singing and drinking and dancing continues. As the night progresses, and when you guys go into your little rental closet, you basically nod off to the sounds of merriment. And then whatever you set your alarm when you have a little computer or whatever. So you just set your alarm for the morning, and you do notice that your now hired guide, I should say, Hyan, literally sits in that corner the whole night drinking, pitcher after pitcher after pitcher, not talking to anybody. Like they just keep bringing him drinks, and just kind of staring ahead and drinking it. He never seems to really leave.
Okay, sounds good.
So when you get up,
okay, would I have already paid him, or could I maybe just put that 200 credits on his tab, or what?
Yeah, if you want to do it that way, however you want to do it. Yeah, you can either do that or you give it to him in the morning. He didn't ask you for it, but if you put it on his tab, that's pretty cool. That seems like a good way to do it.
That's what I was thinking. So yeah, I would like to once the bartender comes over to give me fill my drink again. That's when I tell her by the way, put 200 on that guy's tab for me.
Okay. Yep. She nods and she says, you got him on a good day. And then she goes back to work. You do notice as it gets later into the night, like this used to be at first during the day, even though it's busy in there, she's pretty much the only person working. But you do notice that as time progresses, more and more people seem to be helping with the serving because it's getting busier there. And actually, eventually, the girl with the broken nose, you notice, actually starts doing some waitressing as well. So it's basically, for what a town this is, it's pretty busy. When you get up in the morning, you see a lot of hungover people up, and you can definitely see caravans and groups forming. And it looks like people are heading off into various areas of the jungle. And you do actually see Hyan, your the captain, as it would be. He's actually standing, kind of in the more or less the center of town, just kind of just standing there. Seems to be looking up towards the sun, as it's coming, and looking at the clouds and stuff. And as you approach him, he looks at you and You can see his eyes are a little bleary, like he's probably really hungover. But he says, "The weather's in our favor. We should make good time."
Sounds great.
Yeah, and at his feet, kind of just sitting on the ground, he's got like a pack, and he picks it up and shoulders it. And he introduced him. Fatima comes up and he introduces himself to her, and she to him. She has basically taken her, like I said, she had that knapsack. She's got like a carbine rifle now slung over her shoulder. He doesn't seem to have any weapon except for a large, like a knife on his side, and then he's got his pack. And he says, "Okay."
I just imagine that we're being led by Crocodile Dundee.
It's basically like exactly. That's more or less exactly what it is. Yeah. Except if I can't. Oh, good day, mate. Right. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you start to head out. He doesn't use it. Like you see all these other crews, and it is definitely the Crocodile Dundee. You see all these other crews, and they've got like these nav computers and stuff, and he doesn't use any of that. He literally just like goes like just like walks straight up into the jungle. And I mean, I'm assuming you're following.
Yeah.
And at first it doesn't seem like you're on any kind of a trail. Like it literally seems like he's just going, like blundering basically through what would be the jungle. And after maybe like 20 minutes or so, though, you kind of pop out into what is clearly like a game trail. And you can hear in the distance like other people, but they seem to be really far back. And he says, "Yeah, they always take the long way." And then he just starts heading towards the southeast or whatever direction you're supposed to go. So like he clearly like cut through some like very like a shortcut basically, and got you guys ahead of everybody else that's coming out.
That sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Yeah. So you're traveling. He's got what appears to be some kind of water skin that he's drinking from the whole day. He doesn't say much unless you say anything to him. But he just kind of follow. You're basically taking a trail now. From what you can tell, this is a pretty well walked trail. And as you're coming up towards about like a little after midday, you hear the high pitched squealing sound and rustling sound, and you hear some kind of screaming-ish sounds off in the distance in front of you. Do you have culture?
I have one culture.
Okay, so roll culture.
And I combine that with empathy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So 5d6. I got 2 successes, 2 6s.
Nice. You can definitely make the sounds out, at least some of the sounds, as the kill breed, the rat people. You can tell that it's those types of creatures. They seem to be in some kind of distress, and you would judge it maybe to be like a few hundred yards ahead of you down the trail.
I'll look over to the officer, see if she hears it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as it would be hard not to hear it. It's very loud, and he stops. Hayen stops, and so does Fatima. She brings her weapon up into her hands, and they just kind of stop, and he says, "Seems like some pilgrims are being put upon by the jungle."
Well, that's not our business.
Indeed, it's not, he says. And then he kind of like squats in the spot there to rest. And then he starts drinking from his water skin.
If he squats, she'll squat with him.
Okay.
I mean, if he squats, she's going to guess it's for a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's just taking a break. I mean, he doesn't seem to be hiding. He's just drinking some water. He says, after maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, the sound has stopped. And he kind of corks his bottle. He stands back up. He says, "Shall we?"
All right, let's continue.
Okay. Yeah, and you guys continue forward. You follow on the path. He says, "Keep an eye out. Whatever was going on up here, we don't want to be part of it. That's for sure."
Yeah,
And
I would agree.
and you guys walk maybe like another like 300-400 yards, and you come across uh, yeah, essentially carnage. There's you would imagine on quick look like about 7 or 8 of these Kilbury. It's hard to say because they're none of them are really uh, uh, fully one piece. They seem to be torn to pieces. There's a few of them with like body parts strewn in the trees. Most of the bodies though seem to be in the field in front of you, and there's lots of blood. Um, they're not really blocking your path. You certainly can walk around them or through where the bloodiness is, but it looks like whatever came into this group really it tore in pieces. So it's pretty gruesome.
All right.
Make a sanity check. Oh no, that's called.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If Crocodile Dundee is gonna, if he's gonna continue, and she will as well. If he's gonna stop it all, then she might search the bodies with just for supplies and stuff.
No, I mean he slows down. He looks around, and then proceeds cautiously through the area. If you stop, he'll certainly stop with you, but he's not going to loot the bodies. He doesn't. They don't seem to. I mean, they're definitely had stuff. There's packs, and you can see like the remnants of probably like rations and water skins and tents and stuff strewn around. There's probably had some weapons and stuff. That I mean, they definitely were a group of people or creatures in this case. There was also some digging equipment. So you see like this is just quickly walking through without looking too much. You see some like picks and shovels and that kind of stuff. Some scientific equipment that's smashed. Like to check the water and stuff like that.
What I would look for more than anything, I think, would be like maybe like some M-dose or any kind of medical stuff. And also, you said they had weapons. Like, are they carbines or?
These guys have melee weapons.
Okay, yeah.
For the most part, but go ahead and look. Go ahead and do a
Observation.
observation. Yeah, that sounds all right.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, this is gonna go much better than last time. I get another 5 and 3 successes. I got 3 successes and 2 ones. So.
Okay. Yeah. So you find actually you find 2 M doses.
Nice.
You also find again the weapons they have are basically primitive weapons. So they have spears and stuff like that. So you don't. There's nothing super elaborate. However, you do find one. What do you call it? Sorry, you find a Dora axe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's big. It's a little weird. Like like most of the other stuff you see, like probably they were using it probably because they're out and about. But this is that you actually find this in like in a bag, like a torn open bag with like some rations and stuff, almost like they were transporting it, like they weren't actually using it. But it does have one. Like it does have a power cell with it. One power cell.
All right. Yeah, I'll take it. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, it's basically an axe. It's like almost like a battle axe, I guess. It's but it's like
Sucks only have 4 weapon slots.
You have a lot of weapons. I mean, you may have used it as a weapon. That's up to you. It has some value, though. I mean, I don't know how much it costs. Anything like that, you could always sell as well.
I'm actually just gonna put it in my inventory for now, in my gear, because I think I would rather use it as a tool than a weapon.
Yeah, you definitely can use it as a tool. That's fine. If it comes that you need it, we can look it up at the time. It's yeah. It's basically 3 damage, 1 crit. But it is heavy though, so keep that in mind. It's a big thing. So
Oh, it's heavy. Like it's like a what?
it's heavy, so it takes 2 slots. Yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah. That's the only downside to it. It is big. It's a big old, it's like a 2-handed battle axey, like.
Okay. I thought it was more like a hand axe, like a.
Oh no, this is a big thing. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna take that. If it's that big and stuff, forget it.
Okay, cool. No worries. You leave it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, you don't need to be carrying all that stuff. You're on a mission. So, yeah, you pass and there's some food and stuff, but most of the food that the like dried food that they have, like the long lasting stuff, is it maybe doesn't look like the best quality. But they had some food that was like, they probably bought from the place that you guys ate last night. That's relatively fresh, but that's kind of torn open as well. So, and you have food, so you don't really need it. Otherwise, they don't really have much value. Okay, so yeah, you spend some time doing that. Nothing really seems to bother you while you're doing that. You don't stay there very long, but as you're trudging through, you end up traveling for maybe an hour or two more, and then it starts to get later in the day, and High End says to you, well, if we went through the night, we could probably get there first thing in the morning, but I don't recommend traveling at night, especially with what happened to the rats over there. So, best we find some place to camp.
Oh, you're the expert. I'll follow your lead on this.
Okay. So he looks around a bit and he says, "There's some water this way," and he kind of just gets off the trail and just starts going through the brush. And assuming that you follow him, after like 10 minutes, it opens up into like a small clearing where there's kind of like a spring coming up, bubbling up. And he kind of goes over to the spring and fills up his water skin, and then he drinks some, splashes water and drinks some stuff, and then he basically throws his bag down and unrolls like a sleeping bag and sits down on it. And he says, "This seems as good a spot as any."
I guess I don't have survival at all, so I'm not even gonna try to. If he says this is a good spot, I'm gonna stress that especially because he seems to know what he's doing so far. So
yeah, I mean, you can roll survival because it's not advanced if you want, but or you can just trust him. It's up to you. I mean, he doesn't seem.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, so far he seems to know what he's doing. I'll kind of look over at the at Femda.
Mm-hmm.
That's her name, right?
Thadma? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll kind of look over at her, see if she thinks anything weird or anything.
No, she just shrugs. You would get from the bits you've talked to her that she's not really a plant side person.
Yeah.
She hasn't got a clue. She rolls her bag out and like it's like her sleeping bag and stuff. Like she clearly like just bought it. Like she's definitely like never been down to the planet before. But you do know that she's a good fighter when needs to be. This isn't.
Yeah.
This is not her environment, so she's kind of.
Probably same for me. Like I roll out my bag and it's like freshly bought. That's like I start pulling out like a Walmart like pop tent.
So he, after a little bit, like once you guys start to set up, he kind of gets up, stretches a little bit, and he sets up a little, grabs some stones and forms a, clears out a little area, and then just and starts a little fire. And then he kind of like, he's got like in his little bag, he has like stuff to cook and stuff. So he starts busting out the whatever little food you guys might have brought with you, and he starts cooking. And he says, "Yeah, we'll get there pretty quick tomorrow. We made really good time today. Weather was in our favor." And he kind of looks around. He says, "Should still be good tomorrow, I think, if the icons are in our favor."
Which icon were you born under?
He says, "The messenger." And you?
Not sure you'd like my icon.
We don't get to choose our icon, unfortunately. Don't tell me the answer.
faceless one.
Oh, a lady of mystery.
That's what they say.
That
She
was
looked over.
the
Oh,
easiest
I'm sorry.
to decorate with. You just don't put anything up. He laughs a little bit.
Every once in a while, I'll bust out the blank mask. She jokes. And then she kind of looks to Femda curiously.
Hmm. She says, "Oh, me? Yeah, the dancer." And then she goes, and he says, "It's always the dancer, always the dancer."
Dancers are going to affect our weather tomorrow.
So yeah, so he makes some food. The night is quiet. I mean, there's lots of jungle sounds, but you don't never hear any of those other groups that you heard early on. You guys definitely got either they went a different direction or you got significantly farther ahead of them. Because you never do hear any other sounds of like explorers um, as you're kind of sitting there. Did you want to stay up and keep a guard and stuff, or are you just gonna sleep? Or
I guess we'll leave it to him. I mean, if he doesn't suggest that, then we wouldn't. If he makes any mention of it, then we will.
um,
But
no, he starts to drink a little bit. You see, he breaks out like kind of a flask, and he doesn't really mention one way or the other. He just after you have the food, he just kind of he gets into that sullen mood that you saw him at the cantina in. Like he stops talking and he's kind of just like kind of looking off towards the water and just like drinking with his flask. But he doesn't actually mention anything about staying up or not. He doesn't go to sleep right away, but he doesn't really say.
all right. Well, there was that thing that happened not too long ago, but I mean, if it's had its feet, it's probably if it was assuming it was a creature. Like I mean, it seemed like there was like I mean, we looked at the bodies, right? So we know if there were like it looked like a creature probably attacked them. It
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean,
like
what you
people,
saw was right. They look like they were torn to pieces, and
right?
the parts thrown everywhere. It didn't. I mean, you didn't spend enough time to really investigate whether or not it looked like they were eaten or not. But it didn't. It was on the. It didn't seem like it. Based on the quick look that you made. Uh,
Right. Well, I mean, assuming I mean, like it killed them or whatever, it could have easily dragged them back off or have come back for a meal later or whatever. But I
indeed.
mean, that should keep it distracted, I would think. Especially since I don't have any survival at all anyway. I would just think by default that that'd probably be enough to keep it away. So I'm gonna say Hamda doesn't suggest. And again, unless Femi does or something, but I don't guess she will. Or the cop lady that's with me. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna say Hamda would probably, unless someone says different, she would just turn in for the night and get some rest.
Okay. Yeah, she actually she as you're kind of laying back, you see Fatima get up and she actually takes this looks like a 2 foot long like a stake almost like you might see like somebody puts in their garden to like put like a light on or whatever. And she takes that and she sticks it in the ground and she flips up the top of it and like types in a couple of numbers and you hear like a beep, 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 boop. And then there's kind of as you're kind of looking around, as the night starts to fall, you see this like kind of green um, basically like laser pointer looking lights going out in various directions. Um, and and then she gets back in the bed. She doesn't say anything unless you say something to her about it. But
Okay. No, I mean I probably wouldn't.
yeah, actually, you can roll culture if you want.
Okay.
That would let you know what it is if you actually so -1 because it's a higher.
No successes.
Okay, yeah, so you have no idea what it is. It's something.
All right. I assume it's. I mean, like, I don't know if Hamda can assume this, but if she can, she probably just assumes it's some kind of like alarm system that would go off if something comes into the vicinity or something.
Yeah, you can assume whatever you want. You just don't know exactly what it is without.
Yeah, that's what she's gonna assume it is, and then she'll lay back and rest.
Yeah,
Try to anyway.
fair enough. Cool.
It
Yeah,
feels so different on a planet, humid and everything, and bugs buzz around.
yeah, exactly. It's you know, you guys probably have like the those like mini tents that are like net, so you get inside of it, so you don't have the bugs on you. But yeah, you essentially are able to sleep. When you do wake up in the as the sun starts to come up, you wake up just naturally because the light, you know, and you're outside. Um, you see that just sitting up on his bag still is still the captain. He's kind of like he's got his knees up and he's kind of like sitting, like staring off. And when Fadma gets up and walks over and picks up that device that she had stuck on the ground, he kind of turns and he says, "You guys ready?" And he kind of just wipes his eyes and he's kind of he gets up. He looks a little unsteady on his feet.
Ready whenever you are, and she'll start quickly pulling down her tent and everything, getting everything ready to go again.
Okay. Yeah. While you're doing that, he kind of like rolls his bag up and just lashes it to the bottom of his thing. He looks over at where he made the fire and kicks the little, you know, some dirt over it to make sure it's out. And he kind of like he looks at you and he says, "Which way back to the trail?"
And
Then he laughs and he starts walking into the woods.
okay, yeah, she has no idea anyway.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't know where it was at this point. Yeah, so it doesn't take long. Like he brings you right back to exactly where the trail was. And he turns, he starts walking. He says, "We're making really good time.
Is the weather in our favor today?
The weather's in our favor."
Great.
And yeah, so you're motoring along, and it doesn't like you said, it doesn't take that long because you're moving faster. You know, he had said if you went all night, but you would be moving very slow in the dark. So you know, being you know full of energy, maybe you had like a trail ration or whatever first thing in the morning. You know, after just a couple of hours, you actually kind of uh, come to you know what is essentially like a drop off, like a valley, I guess is the best way to describe it. As you're kind of coming out of the trees a bit, and you kind of look down, you can see that there's just this very slow moving but wide river, kind of more or less crossing your path. And he kind of he looks out across like you that's what everybody would do because you're looking to see the other side, and then he kind of leans forward and he looks down, and you can see that if you went down kind of into the valley, kind of more or less under where you're standing, there must be some kind of a cave or something because you can see that it's been dug out, and you can actually see that there's some equipment, you know, like heavier mining equipment that seemed to have been used to do the excavation. That's kind of pulled off to the side, and just kind of sitting there. You don't see any people or anything. And he says, "Oh, we got to circle around, and we can get down into there. They must be inside." And then he kind of turns and heads off to kind of find a way down the face of the valley.
All right. Okay. Yeah, she'll go ahead and follow him, try and keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, Fatma at this point is, you know, she's got her weapon, you know, walking with it in her hand with a backpack on, and she's pretty happy to, you know, I mean, I'm assuming you guys filled up your waters and stuff at the thing, so you guys maybe took a second to have some water before you start to head down. Even though you're going downhill, it's more of a trudge because you got to use your, you know, your body weight so you don't go sliding down the hill. It's a bit of a climb in a sense, like not like climb like this, but climb like, you know, you're steep. But he gets you down to the bottom. And again, when you get down there, he walks up to that big river that's moving very slowly, and he fills up his canteen and he drinks a little bit, and he kind of looks around, and you can see, like I said, you're at the bottom of this valley now. You're probably like a few hundred yards away. You can see you got to climb up a little bit. You know, you went down, now you got to go up a tiny bit. You can see that basically the earth looks like it was removed by either, you know, probably blasting slash these large kind of pieces of equipment that you see there. I mean, it makes sense that this equipment was probably airdropped in or something because it certainly couldn't have driven here. Again, the equipment is not moving. It looks like it's was used for its purpose and now it's just sitting there. a chunk of the side of the valley is cut away, and you can actually see what looks like flat-ish metal inside. Kind of like it was covered with dirt, and they kind of uncovered it, and now there's like this metal entrance, if you will, that you can see. You'll have to get closer, obviously, to see more than that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and fill up my water bottle or whatever at the river too. And since it's all sci-fi, I imagine that like my water bottle automatically like cleans the water of parasites and stuff like that. Like has like filters on it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure. Seems legit.
And then I'll strap that to my side and I'll walk over towards the ledge. And I mean, is there any rope or ladders down or anything like that?
Yes, you move up to where the heavy equipment is, and there's basically a path that's been cut. You can pretty easily just walk down this kind of pathway, and you can see that it's well walked. Like it's clearly somebody cut the pathway, but it's like this is not it's not infrequent. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. It's frequently traveled. So you're able to come down, and now that you can see this thing more straight on, it looks like basically this is like the best to be described, kind of like a cave that's been dug out. It's almost like if you look at a solid kind of dirt wall, and you just took a shovel, of course, it's on a much larger scale, and dug out, and buried in this wall with some kind of a structure made of metal, because that's what you're looking at. You can see that it's almost like a V shape coming towards you, of this kind of strange kind of black metal, and also it's got strange kind of geometric patterns etched all over it. It's not rusted, but it definitely has like an off color. Like it seems an odd metal to you. But what does look kind of normal, although very tall, like somewhere around like 12 feet tall, there are two doors. They look to be solid, of the same kind of metal, but they're clearly doors because they're like set in with like frames around them. There's one kind of, so as you're looking on this V, the one's on one wall and one's on the other, basically. So you got left to right, we'll see. They're closed. Like I said, you can see in this general area that this place has been well walked. So there's lots of like footprints that look like from people and stuff, and you see that things were dragged. But the two doors are in fact closed.
All right. Hamda's gonna make her way over to the door. Is it just like a metal door? She didn't see any like electronics on it or anything?
Yeah, you actually see that there's a, I mean, what you would understand as what more or less a keypad, if you will, although it's not like a normal keypad. It's got like strange, like runes next to it, but it's projected out next to the door. If you take a quick look, both doors have them. They both basically look identical, except for the fact that, like I said, the doors are large. They kind of look like, they don't have like handles like a regular door. They look almost like, well, like the doors are, most of the doors are on space stations where they drop either into the wall or into the floor or something. Like they don't look like, they look like they slide in or out in one direction. It doesn't look like it goes in. If that makes sense. Like a garage door, basically.
Yeah.
It does seem like there's some kind of keypad here, but it doesn't look like a standard electrical keypad, no.
Okay. And like, I mean, there's no one in the camp area itself, like no people digging, or are there any tents or anything up? Are any buildings here? Like,
no, there's no there's nothing obvious, but if you search around a little bit, you see that there's areas that look like there was probably tents and stuff set up, but they're not set up anymore. Like it looks like it's completely been cleared out, but you can see areas where like spikes are in the ground, where tents were, and probably between your just ability to observe and the other two, it looks like that probably just beyond, like this is kind of a set in area, just beyond the other direction where you came, there was a flat area where it looked like it was a camp. You even see some areas where they probably had set up stoves and stuff, like fire pits or whatever, but they look completely cleared out now and deserted. And not deserted like they left everything there, like it's like everything's been packed up and stuff.
Huh. Maybe everyone got fired. And says kind of to herself. And she's gonna kind of look over at the guide and the cop and see if they make any kind of expressions or how they feel right now.
Okay, so Fanma is gonna get on her communicator. She says, "I'm gonna use my she puts her bag down. She has like a larger communicator. She can actually communicate back with the station. It's like a big, almost like an old-fashioned walkie-talkie, like a big thing. And she says, "Let me see if the doctors somehow evaded us and made it back to the station." So she kind of gets an area and sits down and like starts working her communicator. Um, the guide, Crocodile Dundee, he looks around and he says, "Well, it doesn't look like they left that long ago. Perhaps they moved inside because we didn't pass them. See." He's kind of looking around. Doesn't look like there was violence here that I can tell. At least not the normal kind. And he pulls out his flask and takes a sip.
I agree. Um, while her boss, her employer, is working on the communicator, she's gonna head up to that door and she'll take out her security tablet and she'll see if she can like interact with the input table there. See if she can figure out maybe some way to read these runes. Like maybe her security tablet can have some kind of like feature that might be able to read the runes, or figure something out with it to open the door.
Okay. Have you got data gen or science?
I have data gem.
Yeah, you can do
I also have technology.
You can do whichever one's better.
They're both the same. So
I'll say you can add one for the tablet.
okay, cool. 66, and I got one success.
Yeah, you can't like interface with it directly, but using the tablet, you definitely realize that that these are some kind of like, it's basically like a number pad, and you think that there's probably some kind of code you have to enter in, to open it, which you could set the computer to doing, but it'll take a bit, it definitely can. It is possible. It's just going to take a little bit.
Okay.
You don't know how long how many numbers it could be and blah blah.
What I'd like to do before I set that, what I'd like to try is I would like to try to get like maybe a little dirt off the ground or something, and like try and crush it up a little bit, and just get like just like a piece of cloth or something, and try and sprinkle like the dust over the keypad, and use the cloth just like very lightly to see if I can reveal fingerprints over which numbers have been used.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sure. Why not? That sounds like a good thing to do. Okay, so because you did that, I'll say that works. I mean, that seems like a pretty cool thing. You can that'll definitely narrow it down because now that there's only like 4 of the numbers that were used. You don't know how many times they were pressed, blah blah. So the computer's still gonna have to run its its algorithms, but this will cut the time like dramatically because you do know that it's between those. Well, from what you can tell, between those 4 numbers.
Okay. So she'll do that, and then she'll go ahead and set the this tablet to do its thing after that.
Cool. All right. Let's see then. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's doing its thing. Just doing the numbers. While it's kind of working it, Fatima comes back and she says, the doctor hasn't left, and we got some security, satellite pictures or whatever, satellite, but whatever from the station of this area. And she kind of she transfers them over to your tablet or shows you on hers. And it looks like there were tents and stuff here about 2 days ago. And then, it's not like it's a constant video feed. It takes pictures like every 12 hours. So like there's literally tents there. And then yesterday afternoon, they're gone. So they were there as soon as yesterday afternoon. Looks like they were taken down like very recently. And there's,
History.
and then they made pictures of the general area. They don't see anybody anywhere else. Like they literally disappeared, as far as the camera's concerned.
Ever heard of the term Lovecraftian?
No.
Hamda kind of shrugs.
So as you say that, you hear and then you hear kind of like a suck sound, like the air is being sucked, and the door starts to slide up into the wall, almost like a garage door going up.
She's gonna look back to the guide to see if the guide wants to come with them or if he's gonna stay out here.
Yeah, he shrugs, and follows. He doesn't lead, but he follows. If you start to go, he follows you.
Yeah. So Hamda will start leading the way. She's keeping her hand definitely like kind of on her cricket, ready to pull it if she needs to.
Okay. Yeah. So you walk in, and it's pretty dark in here, but strangely there's some kind of like a glow. It's almost like there was some lights in here that have gone incredibly dim. Like almost like security lights are on, that kind of vibe. Almost a purpley kind of color, or like ultraviolet color. And you kind of come into this space. It goes a few feet in, and it turns to the right, and you're kind of looking into this like, very, very large room. By the way, the hallway and everything in this room as well, everything's made of the same kind of strange metal that looks like very like not really rusted, but kind of very old looking and worn, with lots of strange markings on it. As you're looking into this room, you see it's very big. You do see a door down to, I'm just going to give cardinal direction to make it easier. You basically see to your south about 20 meters away. Now I'll start using meters because we're in space, right? You see a door, like an actual, like a normal door. That door is looks like it's from what you can tell, it's kind of far away. It looks like it's open, but it looks like it's destroyed. So, but like it looks like there's a door there that's been like blown open or something, because you can see pieces of it. That's to the south. To the east, you're coming from basically the north. To the east, you see basically a hallway leading off this room, and you can actually see, though you don't know what it is, you can see like deeper into whatever is on the other side of that hallway. Something is flashing, almost like a camera flash, like constantly going off, like flash, flash, flash. So it's pretty bright, but not so bright that it's really, it's not infiltrating this room too much. And in this room, again, it's mostly empty except for what is kind of a pillar in the center of the room. It's about a 6 foot tall pillar, and on top of it is a globe that's about 2 foot diameter. The globe it looks like a giant pearl, basically. It's like a pearlescent white globe sitting on top. And that's basically what you can see.
Okay. She's gonna take her security tablet for a second. She just wants to see if she can like interact with that globe at all using her tablet.
Yeah, you don't pick up like any. In fact, when you're in here, like the tablet is working, but like you're not picking up any signal, like not even from outside. Like it's almost like you're inside of a room that's no signal can pass through. So you're not picking up any kind of like a wireless signal from this thing. No, doesn't seem to be a computer, anyways, or you're in some kind of a blocked area or a shielded area.
Okay. She looks at Femda, and she just does like like basically like cops would know, like basically like signals, like just hand signals, and just like eyes on me basically, and or like cover me kind of thing.
Okay.
And she's gonna go ahead and pull her pistol. She has her finger off the trigger, so she's just like doing the the thing where you just keep your finger next to the trigger, but you're not gonna pull it or anything.
Okay.
And then like with her free hand, she'll take out a flashlight. and she's gonna keep it off for now, but she'll move to that eastern corner, and like she'll move to the wall, and like she's gonna get down low where you wouldn't expect her to be, and she's gonna like just kind of peek around the corner, where that flash is coming from.
Okay, so you're gonna have to pass the pillar to get there, unless you want to go.
I thought we were coming from the
I
north.
probably didn't describe the room that well because the room's not perfectly square. So you came from the north, but the room is kind of shaped like an L basically. So you're basically like here, and then that door is like over here.
Okay.
I mean, you can get you don't if you stay against the flat of the wall, you don't have to walk right past it, but you're getting closer to it. If you want,
Yeah,
whatever. You don't have
that's
to.
what she'll do. She'll probably stay, mostly against kind of like the wall,
Okay.
trying to stay low.
All right. Yeah. So you squat down and you make your way over there. So you're not going to take time to look at the pillar. Yeah. So you get up towards that eastern kind of hallway, and what you see is you're looking down a kind of a long hallway, and somewhere at the end, you imagine there's some kind of room or something. And from that room is where the flashing is coming from. Like you don't see the flashing. You don't see the source of the flashing in the hallway. You just see the results of it because whatever's at the end of the hallway is flashing and it's coming around the corner, basically.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to draw a map here using paint.
Yeah, I
Just
probably.
so I can.
I'm sorry, I didn't think you were gonna map. I didn't explain the room very well, but yeah, it's kind of like an L shape.
Okay. All right. And then it opens up to a room down there, but I can't see
Yeah, you
what's
go
in there.
down. Yeah, it goes down a bit. I mean,
But there's not a door down there.
no, it looks like it kind of like the hallway goes down, and then like basically this is going east. So you if you were to travel to the east down this corridor, let's say like 40, 50 feet, it kind of drops down into a room to the southern part, if you will.
Okay.
It doesn't like end in a room; it like goes past the top part of a room. You would imagine. I mean, it's hard to say; you're not there, so it's hard to say without walking down there. I should say.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. And then there's that broken door, and then there's the pillar. Yeah, she'll continue down the corridor there. Then, or well, okay, she's gonna stay next to that corner, and she'll actually signal to Femda to the broken door, just kind of like to try and clear it. Just make sure there's nothing here,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she moves along that wall then. So she moves, the wall on the side to get down to that store. She looks. I mean, she kind of looks in there, and then she looks back at you and puts thumbs up, like she shouldn't see anything.
Okay,
Anything
sounds good. All right. I'm kind of curious about that pillar, but at the same time, I kind of think I just need to clear the area. All right, so so she's just gonna continue down the hallway then, and she assumes that Femda will follow her,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, she's gonna still stay low, and I guess she's like at the north wall, so hopefully Femda will kind of follow maybe on the south wall.
Yeah, I mean, if you signal for her to follow you, she'll go back and go the way that you did, because she doesn't necessarily. She's going to go where she knows it's safe and clear. So, excuse me. So, yeah, she comes up and she gets on the other wall and she'll start following down that hallway. I'm going to say the guide is going to stay in that first room. He's standing by the door.
All right, sounds good.
He's not very heavily armed. He doesn't want to go into some weird place. So as you kind of come down, so you're on the north wall, you'll see it first. So basically it goes down, like I said, about 30, 40, maybe 50 feet. And then basically, that north wall continues, but it drops into a room essentially. In this room, you see three robots, basically, men made of metal. They are about 10 feet tall. They are made of some kind of very shiny metal. They're standing in the center of the room. There is lightning, for lack of a better word, coming from the walls, all the walls except for the north wall, which is so basically the east and west walls. It keeps zapping back and forth between the walls and these robots, and then also so like it'll come off the wall, hit one, then go to the other one, then go to the other one, go to the other one, then go to the wall, and then come back. So you got this like electrical pattern going across. Go ahead and roll infiltration.
Oh, nice. Infiltration. Okay. No success.
Okay. So you come around this corner, and I mean, you're moving relatively quietly, but as you come around, like one of these things is facing directly at where you're coming from, and you actually see it doesn't like come charging at you or anything, but it definitely like moves and is now completely facing you. And when it does, the other two also start to turn to face you. So there's three of these things. Oh, and by the way, beyond them, if you were to go past them, there's a set of stairs on the southern wall. Otherwise, there's nothing else in the room.
Okay. Yeah, Hamda's going to quickly just like start backing out. And, I'm guessing Femda's, probably watching. So yeah, she's going to start backing out of there.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's like moving backwards also, so because she's making sure these things are not following them.
Okay, yeah. So if you're watching them, you do that at least the first one, because it's probably the only one you will see after you back up with 10 feet. It does seem to be moving towards you, though very, very slowly. Like it's moving super slow like that, but it is actually moving towards you. I mean, I don't know if you want to sit around and wait for it, but you do see it heading towards you. I mean, at a speed that you shouldn't be too concerned, but if it continues, it would eventually catch up to you if you were to stop, I guess is the best way to say it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. I know, I'm definitely backing up. I'm going to definitely back up all the way to that first room.
Okay. Yeah, you do. I mean, you still see the flashing going on. It's moving so slow that, I mean, you get to that first room and you look back, it's still not in the hallway yet, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're back in the first room. The guide is still standing by the open door. There's still that pillar, and then the door to the south.
All right, Hamda now is going to actually go ahead and move up towards the pillar. She'll go ahead and put her gun away to do so.
Okay.
And see if she can find any runes on it or anything like that.
Sure. Yeah, so you approach the pillar, and once you get close to it, you can actually see that directly, basically the backside of it. So you wouldn't have noticed it unless you came around the backside, which I guess you would do eventually as you circle around it. It's like shattered. It does seem like it was empty, because it's like the back of it, there's like a chunk missing. And you look in and it's empty.
All right, she's going to head down and look into the room with the broken door.
Okay. So this room is like a long room that runs basically east-west, and you're on the west side of it, we'll say. In the room itself, there's three pillars. They're kind of in the center of the room, like holding the ceiling up, basically. Directly across from each pillar on the south wall is basically a thin, like 3 or 4 foot wide passageway with stairs going up. I suppose you probably can see all three of them from where you're standing, but we'll just say you can see all of them. This room still has that kind of strange ultraviolet, so you can see a bit. The other thing that you could probably see if you were to step into the room and look down a bit is all the ways at the far east end, there seems to be another passageway going to the north. So you've got basically 3 pillars, 3 passageways to the south, all with stairs going up, and then a passageway to the north.
Yeah.
That strange kind of glow going on in here.
I'm just going to head towards the pillar real quick and kind of like get down behind it. And she's gonna look down the east hallway and see if that robot's still coming.
No, you're gonna go back up to the other place and look.
I just want to like go behind the pillar basically, and then look down the hallway and see if I can see
Which pillar?
the pillar in the first room.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to see down the hallway from where the pillar is. You'd have to go back up to the corner to do that. Yeah, but you can do that. It's not a big deal. You can go against the wall and do it. The pillar's kind of in the center of the room. The hallway is like at the top of the room.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay, then she'll like. I mean, yeah, she'll move up where she can see down the hallway.
Yeah,
And
the long short of it is you can do that.
but I don't want to get like near the wall or anything because it's like right there.
Yeah. You kind of you can stay whatever some feet away from it and just walk up until you can see. Yeah, you can see that you can only see one of them. So the other two haven't quite made it up there yet. And you can see that it is getting into the hallway now. You would judge that in like the 5 minutes that's gone by, maybe 10 minutes have gone by, it's probably moved like about 30 feet. And now it's just where you can see it.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna move back into the southern hall. Is there any way we can take a break for a second? I gotta use the restroom.
Yeah. Let's take 5 minutes.
All right, thank you.